What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It feels like it has been a while since I've done that intro. We haven't done Palace News in a long time. I think it's been roughly a month. As you can see from the title, it is time to discuss. And we're not discussing based on just nothing. There are actual reports out today, which we'll be talking about Glasner's future. As always, make sure to get involved, even if you're watching on replay by leaving down your thoughts in the comment section down below, as well as the live chat section. And also leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Before we do get started, big up to everyone who has joined us live. My monitor is half gone. So basically half my screen I can't even see, which is making this even harder to do whilst doing it solo. How are we feeling? 24, well, not even 24 hours, approaching 24 hours after that game. We managed to record the preview today, which will be dropping tomorrow. So depending on when you are watching this, it should be out on the Spurs game. I'll be honest, it was like a Spurs preview, but it was meant to be a Spurs preview, but it's more of what on earth is going on with Nick, T, and Stan. Opposition previews coming out on Thursday as well, so there's loads of content, and I'm pretty sure this won't be the last Palace News episode of this week, unfortunately, with how things are going. Things have changed. It's changed. Last time we was doing these episodes of Palace News, things were looking up. We're talking about players. We're talking about top half, talking about Europe. And now we're talking about the manager who was meant to lead us to those glory being potentially sacked. As you can see from the title, he has around 4 games, according to reports, and we'll go into them reports in just a few minutes' time whilst everyone is joining. Let me just look at the chat quickly. If we're bringing Moyes, I might have to find something else to do with my Saturdays. I'm surprised it's as many as 4, to be honest, says Mitch. It's been reported in Guardian, so there is a source. How credible sources are for date exactly? So we'll be looking at that Guardian report today, and we'll be also talking about some of those replacements if Glasner was to leave the football club, which I'll be honest is far from ideal and is just going around in circles if some of these names were to be appointed, especially 2 out of the 3 names that's been mentioned. But according to Ed Aarons, let's get into it. According to Ed Aarons, there are believed to be concerns by some of the Palace hierarchy about Glasner's inflexibility over his favoured 3-4-2-1 system. To add to that, Oliver Glasner's position, this is according to Ed Aarons from The Guardian, as someone has mentioned in the chat, as Crystal Palace manager is under mounting pressure after he equaled the club's worst ever start to a Premier League season. The Austrian fate is expected to be determined by results before the next international break. So ideally, Glasner only has 3 Premier League games remaining and 4 games in total if you do include the Carabao Cup. I don't know how to feel about this. I said it yesterday. Not much has changed. There's nothing reactionary about yesterday's live match reaction. I did feel that way. I do feel this way. Normally, after I do the live match reaction, I calm down. Maybe because that is majority of the time we're not in the relegation zone, but things are serious right now. We are in the relegation zone, and simply put, we need to get results to get out of it. So maybe that's the reason why I can't be as calm as I've been before. And I'll be honest, as much as I want Glasner to stay, Glasner needs to prove himself to stay at the job as well. And the reason why I'm saying that is if we continue as we are right now, we might win a game this season or 2 or 3 games, but there's no way on earth we're winning enough games to keep us up in the Premier League. And that doesn't fall on the manager entirely. I have confidence that a manager could keep us up because he's done that last year. He done that last year, albeit with a different squad, right? He had the likes of Elise in the squad and everything was flowing perfectly. But I still do have faith in him keeping us up if he changes his system. I'm not saying the whole system. I'm talking about the formation. This 3 at the back with 5 out of possession is not working. It hasn't worked. And we need a bit of creativity. And for me, if he wants any chance of staying at this role, he needs to change it up. Simply put. And if he does change it up, and if he does show flexibility, as the report suggested, that's one of the concerns of him being stuck with 3-4-2-1. then maybe we could, have discussions. We can talk about performances. We could say he's changed it up. How bad or how good is it now? Because it wasn't working before. But if he keeps it the same and expects different results, it's just crazy. We've been here. We've been in the Premier League 10 years. It's not our first season. We've had different managers. We've had managers who are stubborn. And we know how it ends. It ends with them being sacked. And with them being sacked, rightly so, because you're not changing up when it's not working. 8 games without a win, regardless of how much I want Glasner to be successful, is not good enough. It is not good enough. And we have had some teams there that we could have beaten. Now, we'll talk about alternatives, because the alternatives, if he was to get sacked, have been mentioned in the article as well. But we'll talk about that in about a few minutes' time. We spoke about this in the match preview that's coming out tomorrow. But he needs to go to 4 at the back. The problem that he has, which I mentioned in the live match reaction show as well, is that we've signed players, especially centre-backs, 3 solid centre-backs now at a football club, because we thought that we'll be playing 5 at the back or 3 at the back, which has been the case all along. But he needs to make a sacrifice. The thing is, if he doesn't make a sacrifice with the system, unfortunately, he's going to be the one that's sacrificed. And you can't really blame the club if he is. If he goes 9, 10, 11 games without a win and is keeping the same system and we're not creating enough chances, then how can you blame the club? But as I've said, I do think Glasner's a manager who can adapt. The reason behind that is yesterday on the stream, people put quotes, which were right, by the way, about him not thinking it's a tactical problem. However, I did watch the whole press conference post Forest game. And towards the end of the press conference, he did say that maybe we do need to change up in terms of formation. And he spoke about Mateta and players. So he's not closed to changing up the formation and the system. And I said it yesterday as well, that maybe we needed a result like Forest for him to kind of realize that this is just not working. If we drew yesterday, we could have easily said, look, we're facing one of the best sides in terms of defensively in the league. They've been very good defensively so far this season, Forest. We got a draw against them. We move on to the next game. But this is kind of like the wake-up call that I think we needed yesterday. That, another defeat, it's not working. I don't care about how many shots we've had. I don't even care about XG yesterday. Because from the eye test, the Liverpool game, maybe we had less shots or less XG. We created better chances in that game against Liverpool, in my opinion. We done more against Liverpool than we did against Forest. Yesterday were just a bunch of individuals, and I've never been fuming like this so far this season, despite us not winning. Because I felt like we always had something. I mean, we don't get beaten much. And of course, if Henderson did make the save, we wouldn't have probably got beaten yesterday. Albeit, I think that would have been very lucky because I think we deserve to lose. But going forward, the key word that stands out to me, approaching 24 hours after the Forest game, is balance. And this is why I do think it is a fixable issue. But once again, it points back to the manager. Because if the manager doesn't change the formation, that issue will remain and we will not be winning games, unfortunately, this season. But it is a fixable issue. And that is why I'm not Glasner out right now as of today. But of course, will be if we go and lose against Wolves and Fulham and Spurs and he hasn't changed his system. And that is the reason why I do want to change it up, because I don't think a manager can go bad overnight. And I don't think he's a bad manager, because even at points of the season, we have seen the system change. We have seen it go from a back 3 to a back 5. As you know, what we like to do in and out possession to a back 4. We even saw that yesterday, but yesterday was just ridiculous. Munoz going left back, left wing back. I don't know what he was trying there, Glasner. But yesterday, his game management was ridiculous. Even going to a back 4, he kind of messed up there as well. I don't know why you take off Nketiah when he created the most chances in the entire Premier League game week 8 this weekend by 5 and was trying to create something, especially when we're 1-0 down. And I don't know why you take off Hughes. His game management yesterday was poor. But even yesterday we saw it. And at some points this season, we have seen it as well. That he can change to a back 4. So he needs to now, and the confidence, as I've said, that maybe it's hopium. But based on what he said towards the end, you can go watch on Palace TV, towards the end of his press conference against Forest, the fact that he did mention the formation, Mateta and players, and change gives me that hope that he's not deluded to think that, oh, everything's fine tactically. But what it meant by tactically could be the case that he might be open to changing the formation and the players, but he might not be changing his approach to the game. That could be it. That could be it because of based on how he mentioned the formation and players in the same press conference as him saying, I don't think it's a tactical problem. So something does need to change. I don't want it to be Oliver Glasner, as The Guardian is reporting that he has up until the November international break. But Oliver Glasner needs to help himself out in this situation as well. And he needs to start now. He needs to start now. He hasn't got much time. And I think 4 games is enough. We've got Carabao Cup, we've got Spurs, we've got Wolves, massive game, and got Fulham. You just have teams in between there. You've got the likes of Wolves who haven't won a game like us so far this season. You've got Fulham who are doing well, who many people, you can, funny enough, say that we wanted to be like Fulham this year. You got Spurs, low expectation, but we got different kinds of opposition. For him to do something different, it's not we got City, Spurs, Liverpool back to back, and he has to get result in those games to save his job. And by the way, I'm going to go to the comments, by the way. Sorry. I'll just get this out of the way. Then I'll go to the comments because there's some fantastic comments coming in. So thanks to every single one of you that sent that. But he's got realistic objective right now, Glasner. He has got realistic objective. You got 4 games, even Villa in the Carabao Cup, if he does want to rotate it. You need to show us why we should have faith in you. And the only way he does that is by change. So it's up to him. It is up to him. That's how I see it. Let me know what you think in the comment section as well. Let's go through some of the comments. It's going to be hard to do with my screen half smashed. And it was a smash from yesterday's game. We got smashed in the Brentford game. As always, people, if you are enjoying the stream, please drop a like. It does help out massively. And make sure to keep your eyes peeled for the content that's coming in the next few days or so. Now, let's go to the comment section. In fact, I might have to bring up the comments on my phone, in all honesty, and not out on the screen because I can't see on my screen the comment section. It's very hard to see right now. So I'm going to go to the comment section on my phone. Phil's saying, if Glasner went, who would you want in? And in fact, before we do actually get into that, let me quickly read out some of the names that's been mentioned by Ed Aarons. He said the following, that the former Brighton manager Graham Potter, who held talks with Palace earlier this year, David Moyes and Gareth Southgate could be the potential targets if Glasner is sacked, with all 3 currently out of work. And this is now another point why I do want it to work out for Glasner. Because I just refuse to believe Oliver Glasner is a worse manager out of the 3 names that I've mentioned. Gareth Southgate, honestly, if Southgate was appointed Palace manager tomorrow, that's me done. Like, in terms of having any faith about us being a serious club. Same with David Moyes. David Moyes might be a good solution if we're, I don't know, if we're March and we're still struggling. Like, how Roy came back to the football club. But if you're appointing David Moyes at this point of the season, let's say November international break, right? Because that's how long Glasner's got. It just shows that you failed as a football club. That's what it shows more than Glasner. It shows that we failed because this squad, I think everyone can agree, is not settled. It's not settled in terms of the players that we brought in this summer. So, yes, Glasner should be adapting. But if they did pull a move like that, then I think they're just putting so much pressure on themselves. And that's to the board of Crystal Palace. Because it wasn't a great window. I think it was a very, very solid window, but it wasn't all like 10 out of 10. It wasn't a 10 out of 10. We ended it very strong, but it wasn't a 10 out of 10. And now in hindsight, we can say, look, we signed Sarr, which he should be playing. And I can quickly talk about that as well. I know we spoke about in the preview that's dropping tomorrow. We'll talk about that as well. But, he could still make the most out of the squad. So if Glasner went, who would I bring in? I don't even know. I don't know. Are we at the stage right now to bring in David Moyes? And that's the thing. Moyes would keep us up. But what's the point? Keeps us up. We get tired of Moyes. Bring in someone. Have a bit of hope for 5 or 10 games. They're not good enough. Get rid of him. Bring in someone else. Keep us up. Same old cycle. Now, at that point, you look at the people who's running the football club saying, could they do anything better? Because not too long ago, by the way, and that's the reason why I did say, let's wait until the summer to see how things go in terms of the transfer window or not. Getting Glasner in was fantastic, but last summer, not this summer, last summer was absolutely dreadful. We showed no signs of trying to progress by keeping Roy for a year and not even signing players properly in the summer window, which we were forced to sign Walton and Munoz because it was that shambolic. But the club needs to show ambition. And the number 10 position right now is a concern. However, it won't be a concern if you change it up and you don't play with 2 number 10s, for example. So yeah, I mean, in terms of replacements, none of them, maybe Graham Potter does, but then again, Potter likes to play 3 at the back as well. So I don't know how much that will change. Maybe new, fresh of breath air could come good. But then again, would Graham Potter want to join Palace based on what's been going on at Palace? Would he want to join? I'm not too sure. And Southgate, I'm not taking Southgate. I'm sorry. I'm not. No one can convince me. I know he's gone to the final and stuff, but no one can convince me that they've watched Gareth Southgate football and they've been encouraged. England, in my opinion, should have won a major trophy by now. Southgate has had the likes of Foden, Saka, Harry Kane. He's had everyone. I mean, in terms of squad-wise, England is like massively talented, even in terms of depth. And he still went negative football. What on earth makes you think that he's going to come to Palace and not be another Roy Hodgson? Honestly, what Southgate doesn't give me any sign of optimism. I'd rather get David Moyes than Gareth Southgate. At least David Moyes has done something. Then again, David Moyes at West Ham, he spent a good amount of money. People saying he'll keep us up, but West Ham have had, decent amount of money spent on players for David Moyes to be that successful in the first place, which we're not going to do at Palace. So these are all short-term solutions, which I don't know if we need short-term solutions right now when we're going into November. That's the problem that I have. And the panic mode from Palace, which I understand why, because we haven't won a game, it just goes back to the people at the top, to be fair. I mean, why wasn't he back to the degree that he should have been? Then again, he was back in terms of Lacroix and Kamada, but we didn't sign another number 10. And if maybe Glasner wanted that. If Glasner wanted that, then of course he's at blame as well. But he's just going around in circles. And Fonseca, yeah, he's a great shout, but he doesn't stay at club for longer than 2 days. There's no point. You can't really build around Fonseca. Southgate was at Middlesbrough before the England job. CBFC Jordan saying 1 win in 13 months without Elise in the squad. It is imperative that we replace him with serious left-footed attacking midfielder. 2 unbelievable attacking midfielders are required for the system. Opposition needs to be scared of them. And that's the thing. Right now, we don't have that. Rak-Saki could have been an option. I think Rak-Saki would have been a very decent option for Crystal Palace with Elise going. And I felt like Rak-Saki has been ready to be a Premier League squad player for the last 2 years or so. Maybe not as a starter, but it made a lot of sense. But I think they wanted Rak-Saki to have consistent game time week in out and then come next season as a number 10 option, which is not seeming really great right now. But Ismail Sarr is an option down the right. So if I was to go with 4 at the back, if you're playing 4 at the back naturally, unless you're going to go 4-1-2-1-2, you'll have wide options there. I'll go with Sarr down the right-hand side. So having Sarr down the right-hand side is better than what we have right now. Yesterday, people were talking about Munoz attacking, right? Munoz is attacking, but what's Munoz doing? I can't really blame Munoz. Of course, there's some decisions that he's made that could have been better. But if there's no support there down the right-hand side, what could Munoz do? Forest are literally showing Munoz the inside because there's no one else there. They can easily target him and say, come inside then. Whereas before, why Munoz was successful is because he had a player there, which could be Sarr in this case, who's a threat down the right-hand side, who he could connect with. How many times did Munoz connect with Eze yesterday when Eze was playing down the right-hand side? Barely any. Barely any. So this is what I mean by the balance. The balance is simply not there. Then we look at the left-hand side. Mitchell, at least in the Liverpool game, he was attacking. Yesterday, I genuinely can't remember Mitchell getting in decent positions. Maybe in the first half, 1 or 2 times he made runs in behind. But other than that, he was just staying back. He wasn't involved. So if you have no width by not playing any wingers, and you have Munoz, who's getting no support, even though he's meant to be the wing back, and Mitchell's not getting forward, you look at the average position. In fact, let me try to find it now. I'm going to try to find it now. I can't even show it on the laptop screen. I'm going to have to show it on my phone. Not great, but my laptop is an absolute mess right now. So it's better to show it on my phone than to not show it. You can see how narrow Palace were yesterday against Forest, which is the problem. Look at the average position of Palace players yesterday. Can you not see that? Can you see that? Look at the average positions yesterday of Palace players. Where on earth is the width? There is no width. It's so easy to defend against us. And there's no width because we don't play any wide players. The wide players is meant to be Munoz and Mitchell. Look at Mitchell's average position. His average position, he hasn't passed the halfway line. He hasn't even passed the halfway line. Munoz, same. He hasn't passed the halfway line. Even though at times it did feel like he was going forward. Everyone's so central. It is so easy to defend against this Palace side. But this issue can be fixed by changing that three at the back. By dropping a centre-back. It makes sense. Look, if you're struggling to create chances, naturally you put an extra midfielder there for creativity or an extra attacker. You just drop one of the centre-backs and do that. But yesterday, even that, he didn't sub off Chalobah. Chalobah played right back yesterday. And a lot of people have been talking about Chalobah playing right back, right? But Chalobah's not the answer to right back. You make those big calls and you drop Chalobah. You keep Munoz there, you drop Chalobah. Chalobah's been at mistake for 2 goals in the last 2 games. Yes, albeit I know he hasn't had a proper preseason. I'm not saying he's a bad player. But that header yesterday was not good enough. I know Henderson should have done much better. And also in the Liverpool game, he was there for a mistake. These are facts. It's unfortunate, but he was at mistake for 2 games, and we're not creating enough chances. So you naturally drop a centre back. You can go with a 4-4-2. I think that's a simple approach. On my preference, would have been a 4-3-3. But there are options. There's variation, but it all starts with 4 at the back. When you look at the width there, people, look at this width. Look at the width at this Palace side. It is non-existent. It is so easy to defend against this. And yesterday was a bunch of individuals. There's nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. And he needs to change that. He needs to change that right now. But anyways, let's go through more comments. By the way, if you are enjoying the stream, what are we on? I think we're on 40 likes. There's over 100 people here. Please smash the like button, people. It does help us out massively. It helps us grow that algorithm. And also, we are working behind the scenes. There's red and blue stripes will be gone, and there'll be better overlays going forward as well. So really appreciate you all who's tuned in. And yeah, let's see what you lot think about this in terms of the system. Let's get Xavi. Xavi's never coming to Crystal Palace. Sack Kamada. Yeah, sell Kamada. Mukhtar saying sell Kamada. The funny short saying sack Kamada. Kamada is another discussion point. And if it again falls down to the manager, and it links well to the topic of the video right now, and Oliver Glasner, where how did Kamada stay on the pitch while Nketiah get off? How did that happen against Forest? Kamada, look, he's played in different positions now. He's played down the left-hand side. Even yesterday, look, we're trying to make this Kamada thing work so much. We put Eze to the right and put Kamada to the left. We play Kamada in midfield. He's come off the bench. He's played as a right side of number 10. The simple case is it's not working. It's not working. The games where we've actually been a threat this season, funny enough, has been when Mateta, Nketiah, and Eze are on the pitch. Those are the games where we've actually had a chance of something happening. Even in the second half against Liverpool. You know, Mateta came on the pitch, for example. My solution is you include Eze, Nketiah, and Mateta on at the same time, but not with the system. Because the problem was not them 3 playing. It's them 3 playing in the positions they were playing. Mateta needs to go up front. We do need them wide options. And this is where it gets interesting, because this might be a funny shout for some of you lot, but I do think this could potentially work. Yesterday, Nketiah created a lot of chances. He even had that moment down the left-hand side where he beat the defender, put him on the floor, pulled the ball back to Will, who's, I think he got blocked. The shot got blocked. But Nketiah on the ball can do something. He's got a technical ability, which I don't think Edouard did have. And that was a problem with Edouard. And that's why eventually he did get sold, because he just didn't offer much to Palace. I wouldn't be against the likes of Nketiah starting down the left-hand side if we were to go to a 4-3-3. Nketiah as a left winger, cutting in down the left-hand side. then eventually you have Tyrick Mitchell as a wide option and you have Nketiah as a threat cutting inside. Now, the problem is down the right-hand side, you've got Ismail Assar there, which I think he can cut in as well, which can, but he's right-footed, I believe. So it might not be as effective. But it still gives something different for defenders to think about. It allows Munoz to get that support there, as well as, the defenders have to think about Ismail Assar cutting in down the right-hand side or Nketiah cutting in down the left-hand side, as well as the Mitchell overlaps. But we would have those wide options and would have Mateta up front, Eze through the middle with two midfielders behind him. Like that. Just by that, if we were to change formation, that would mean we got Sarr on the pitch at the same time, Mateta, Nketiah, Eze, all at the same time. 4 creative players, 4 players who we expect to be on the pitch if we were to score goals. And it is risky because you're changing from a 5 to a 4 at the back. But we have to take risks at this point. Yes, there were games so far this season where we've been creating chances. We haven't been finishing our chances. But yesterday's game was a major concern because it's not even about creating, finishing chances. It's about creating chances. We just weren't creating chances, and we just simply need more attackers. And Glasner did say in his press conference as well. So, yeah, 4-4-2 would work as well. 4-4-2 would work as well. I guess you still have the wide options. But in a 4-4-2, that's the thing. It'll be Eze going out wide, which he has played out wide for Palace before. It'll be, I guess he could potentially do the job there. He's played out wide in previous times. He hasn't quite worked as effectively. I do think he's better off having that freedom through the middle. But 4-4-2 would work as well. I think 4-4-2 is a simple solution because we have actually gone with that formation so far this season. So I don't expect them to change to a 4-3-3. But 4-4-2, Mateta and Nketiah, Sarr on the right, Eze on the left. And then eventually when they are fit, the likes of Wharton and Doucouré, that'll be fantastic. Have them in the middle. When they're not fit, Hughes and Lerma. But I expect hopefully Doucouré to be back at some point. Maybe this week he should be training, so we'll see how he is in terms of fitness. And Wharton didn't play. Wharton didn't play against Forest. So would he be fit to play against Spurs with 4-4-2? Look, there are variations. That's the thing. There's no one right or wrong answer. You can go 4-2-3-1 if you want to. You can go 4-2-3-1. It just depends. It depends on how you see it. That 4-2-3-1 could easily be a 4-3-3. Instead of them, the 3 as attacking midfielders, you push them further up, they can be wingers. So it's about having the players on the pitch and changing the 4 at the back. Then the rest, you can shuffle about depending on how the opposition's set up, depending on how you want to press them. But by the way, another major concern, for example, I don't know if you lot have noticed, where's the press? Where's the Palace press under Glasner? Yesterday, I was fuming in that first half. Absolutely fuming because just like the Liverpool game, fair enough, you said it's Liverpool, right? You might not press them as high up. We gave Forest so much respect in the build-up play. Their defenders had all the time in the world. The press is not there. Good press, maybe few individuals will press and the press will get beaten. Or maybe we will have a collective press as a team at some points of the game. But it's not as sync as it was last season. Where has that gone? Is it because the likes of Kamada cannot press? Then again, are we focusing too much on Kamada? But still, basics like that, we need to bring that back. And stuff like, things like having a decent press and taking the games onto opponents. That's what we were excited about under Glasner. And we're not seeing that. And we haven't seen that in a few games so far this season. So yeah, maybe change it to 4 at the back, having, few midfielders, extra midfielder, or having a winger. Maybe you can press a bit more effectively. But it just goes back to that. And the title of this video, he has 4 games to save his job. Now, let me ask a question. How many of those games do we need to realistically win for him to save his job? Or is it not just about wins? Is it about maybe, let's say, we change the 4 at the back. Against Spurs, I haven't got that much hope. I'll be honest. There's no hope. We're already 1-0 down as we're speaking right now because, Son is scoring against us. So we're already 1-0 down. But it's about performances. It's about maybe creating chances. Because how many times did we get into the box yesterday? Or even so far this season? We've not been as effective. maybe if we change to 4 at the back and let's say we only beat Wolves and lost against Fulham, Villa and Spurs, but let's say now we are actually creating chances in the box, we're just not finishing them. Would that be enough for Glasner to stay at the football club? Let me know as well. For those who want Glasner out right now, or for those who are doubtful of Glasner, what at this point for the next 4 games, what do you want to see? Is it results? Is it performances? Is it a combination of both? For us to say, you know what, let's not sack Glasner and bring in David Moyes, or let's not sack Glasner and bring in Gareth Southgate. Mate, I'm not hopeful about Potter. I'll be honest, I'm not hopeful at all about Potter coming to Palace. I just don't think that's going to happen. So realistic 2 options. What would make you want to keep Glasner rather than 2 options? Because them 2 options, I'll be honest, sound dull. It is absolutely dull, and it's a write-off at that point. Even in the short term, if they come and win 6 or 7 games like Glasner, I just know in the long term that is not going to work. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Wolves and Fulham are must win, says Luke. Wolves is a must win. The Wolves game will probably be the decider. We need 2 out of 4 games. We need 2 out of 4 wins. Yeah, if we lose the next 2, I assume that's it for him. 4 points minimum. I'm playing well for the full 90, says Shannon. Yeah, I think the performances matter because yesterday, as I said for the first time, I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. If we play like this, we're getting relegated. We might win the odd lucky game here, but we're 100% not getting enough points. So for me, the performances matter, but change matters as well. Change does really matter. Mitch saying, I'm not even Glasner out, but I just don't see it going on much longer. I don't see it as well. That's the thing. I don't see it going on much longer. But then again, can you really blame the club if manager hasn't won in, let's say, 12 games or 11 games in the Premier League? And we have to get rid of the excuse that, oh, we had a slow preseason, players were not fit, late transfer deadline day. We've had 2 international breaks right now. We're heading into our 3rd one. Like, we just have to get rid of that excuse. The excuse was there. It's gone now. Like, we just have to get on with it. Simon saying he's clearly lost the dressing room. The funny short saying Glasner is a good manager. It's Parish who done him over. It's clear he didn't want Sarr. Decore is out. France hasn't played. Richards is out. Riyadh is out. Watson's on painkillers, and both our academy gone. CPFC Jordan has a question saying, do you see Gahey as an effective captain? I don't. I think he's far too passive and quiet. Would rather Hughes or JP as captain at the moment. Even they're not great. Squad is missing a true leader. I think even if you're just natural captain material, right, you will be that presence in the dressing room. So the armband, yes, you could say give it to JP. Look, JP is not for me. No, you don't give it to JP. You don't give it to a player who clearly there's issues there with a contract and him committing his long-term future at the football club. Then again, you could say that about Gahey as well. Funny enough, but for example, Hughes could make sense. But put an armband on a player, that's a generic thing. You either are captain material or you ain't. You naturally are a leader or you ain't. So I don't think Will Hughes having an armband maybe gives him a morale boost, but I don't think that's going to change Will Hughes. I think Will Hughes is a natural leader. The question that we can ask is how many leaders are in the squad? Because I don't think Gahey being a captain is an issue. Because naturally, if you are a leader, you'll be there to pick the side up. In a dressing room, you don't just look at a captain. You look at us collectively as a squad. So that could be the question. I don't think Gahey being a captain is like a massive issue. He might be a quiet personnel and he's not having a great run of form as well. No, I'm not going to say that. I don't think he's been terrible recently. I know start of the season he wasn't that great. But yeah, I don't think the captain thing is an issue. It's about having maybe leaders in the squad. Lacroix can be captain. I think it's too early for Lacroix to be captain. Jack is saying, I think we'll see more of a change if we kept the manager in a poor streak and let him improve, then just sack him again and restart the cycle, forces the players to take accountability. The problem with that, Jack, is I agree with you. But the manager, as I've said in the Guardian report, they're worried. The hierarchy are worried about his persistence with the 3-4-1-2 formation. So for that to happen, Glasner needs to change himself to give everyone else hope within the football club, including the fans. Because trying the same thing over and over again, when it's not working, it's not going to give anyone hope. It just shows stubbornness. So that's why it needs to start this weekend. And if it did start, then maybe the board could be thinking about, all right, he's changed it up. Let's see how it goes. But if he's not changing it up, if it's the same odd results, if we're not winning any games, then how could you blame them if Glasner's not changing it up? because right now we just don't have the balance. But yeah, people, I'm gonna end it here. It was a quick stream. Tomorrow, as I've said, the preview is dropping. Opposition preview out on Thursday as well with Deji from the 12th Man podcast. He said quite a few things. He's hilarious, but he did make a few points. So I'm going to wrap up here. Not looking great right now, but I think it's in our hands to change it about. And that's why some of those other managers are being linked with Palace, because they'll go back to basics. And I think if you do go back to basics and let go of this 3 at the back formation, 5 at the back, then I think this squad has got enough to pick up wins, because we're not that far off. We're not getting thrashed, but we also need to be creating more chances. And I think that changes by putting more attacking and midfielding players in the squad. That's it from me. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Depressing times right now, but I still got a bit of hope. Based on what he said towards the end of yesterday's press conference. If you have enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, up the Palace.